Yes, I clear.
Okay, fine. Thanks. Thanks. Clear. Good. Okay, so in the last class, we discussed about the air pollution and water pollution. So now we have to get into the next one, solid waste. So we are going to do a discussion on solid waste. Discussion on solid waste. Okay, so when you take solid waste, of course, solid waste is a very broad area, so we cannot cover everything. So just we are going to do a small discussion on the various important solid waste. Okay, what are the different types of solid waste we have? The one is MSW, municipal solid waste. The second is plastic waste. The third is e-waste, electrical electronic waste. The fourth is biomedical waste. The fifth is hazardous waste. Hazardous waste. So in fact, by 1980s to 90s, of course, we didn't have these many classification. So everything was under the hazardous waste. There was only one category under the solid waste. It was only hazardous waste. So within the hazardous waste, MSW, plastic, e-waste, biomedical, so the different types of waste was there. And then after later point of time, by 2000, when we came to know the importance of MSW, plastic, e-waste, and also it's generating more, since it's generating more, so we thought that we need to give a separate preference for each and every waste. So that's the reason we brought MSW as a separate category, plastic, e-waste, biomedical, hazardous waste. Now all this waste are controlled under EPA Act of 1986. The Environment Protection Act of 1986. So all this waste are controlled under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So under this, we have for every waste, we have management and handling rules. So for MSW, we have solid waste management handling rules. For plastic waste, there is a management handling rules. For e-waste, we have another management handling rules. For biomedicals, the same thing. For transboundary, it is again management handling transboundary rules. Because we signed a convention, so that's a reason that rule alone is called as a transboundary rules. Okay. So now any solid waste, if you take, it has got 6 stages. Any solid waste will have 6 stages. The one is generation. So you need to see how it is getting generated. Number 2, collection. So how it is getting collected, who collects it? The third one, segregation. If, of course, the waste has to be segregated, that's called segregation. The fourth one is storage. The fifth one is transportation. Sometimes transportation and storage can also come. Storage, transportation. And the last one is processing and disposal. These are the 6 stages for any solid waste. So for every waste, you need to see how the 6 stages is getting operated. And normally within the 6 stages, every waste will have a challenge in a particular stage. For example, let us take MSW. MSW, do you know where's the challenge in the 6 stages? Municipal solid waste that comes from the houses and all. Houses, domestic houses, even from the buildings and all. The challenge is in the segregation. So if we take plastic waste, the challenge is in some other thing. E-waste will have a challenge in some other. So for every waste, there is a challenge. So now how this government is tackling this challenge, that is what we are going to see in this entire thing. Okay, now let us take the first one, MSW, municipal solid waste. MSW, municipal solid waste. You know that it is getting generated mostly from the houses. So from the houses, from the kitchen, it comes out. I'm right. So normally, it may be paper, vegetable, Okay, plastics, even sometimes we put all the glasses, tube lights, some covers. So everything is a part of municipal solid waste. It also comes from the streets, it comes from the commercial buildings, public places, I'm right, from the offices, and also from the hospitals. So every places this MSW comes. So now there is a small data just for your understanding. It is extracted from the Hindu newspaper. So the Hindu newspaper says that for a day, generation of a solid waste in India is approximately 1.43 lakh ton per day. So we are generating approximately 1.43 lakh ton per day we are generating. Do you know in this how much it is collected? In this, hardly 77% only it is collected by the corporation, municipal corporation. So I will say that rest 23% is not at all getting collected. Okay, so in this, how much it is processed? If we say hardly 25% only it is getting processed. So you see, it's a very poor state. But when you try to compare with other countries, some of the developing countries like China, Brazil and all, they are much more ahead than us. So if we take the solid waste management in India is comparatively very, very poor. But here the scenario is comparing with 2021, in 2031, this generation from 1.43, it may jump to 4.5 lakhs ton per day. In 2050, we will find 12 lakh ton per day. Just see, it is going to increase, almost 12 times, 10 times. Okay, what is the reason? Because in 2050, there is going to be a demographic change in the country. So right now, some around 30% population is in the urban, 20 to 30% is urban, rest 70% in the rural. But when you come to 2050, this demographic transition will change where 80% will be in the urban, 20% in the rural. So that time this generation is going to be quite large. So right now, if you take the present state, of course, it's very poor. So when come to 2050, if you maintain the same state, then definitely the entire city will become garbage. And most of the time we will get a lot of diseases because this MSW can proliferate a lot of diseases. Okay, so what are the diseases MSW will proliferate? What are the problems with MSW? So now you can see what are the problems with MSW. You can see here MSW. This is what MSW, right? So first thing, if you keep the MSW just like that open, then there are more chances that it can give out a lot of harmful fluids and dust. A lot of harmful fluids and dust can come out because we put all the bulbs, chemicals and everything. Second is this MSW is a very good mosquito breeding ground. The expert says that the mosquito breeding will be 100 times more in the MSW than the water. So this is a very good place for the mosquito breeding ground. And definitely in this, you will find a lot of vectors. So you can find rodents, rats and all, of course, cockroaches, insects. Now what it will do, it will spread the diseases. And then now just imagine this MSW at the bottom. At the bottom, of course, oxygen cannot go inside. So because of that, anaerobic respiration can happen. Methogenesis can happen. Methogenesis can happen. That is, methane emission is going to happen, which is a greenhouse gas. Okay, and apart from that, by chance, if any rainwater is getting mixed up, just imagine if any rainwater is getting mixed up, you see here, it will leach. The rainwater will mix with the MSW. It can further leach, contaminate your groundwater. Contaminate groundwater or probably the well or also nearby lakes, which is happening right now in India. So this is the biggest challenge in MSW. And apart from that, you cannot also handle it because it will have a lot of nails, sharps, right, sharp edges. So everything will be there. So handling this MSW is also very, very difficult. So now MSW, we cannot take it very light. So we have to control this MSW effectively. Okay, if you want to control, if you want to dispose, so the main thing is disposal. Because When you come to the first stage generation, we know where it is getting generated. So collection, the municipal corporation used to collect it. Segregation, this is the biggest challenge. Now you can see here, everything is unsegregated. So I will say segregation is the biggest challenge in the MSW. Okay, and apart from that, it is stored, transported, and finally processing and disposal. So here we saw the disposal is very poor. So now when you take disposal, let us discuss some of the disposal method. So here the first disposal method is called open dumping. Open dumping. So open dumping is something we are putting the entire waste in a open. So most of the time open dumping, it is unauthorized dumping. So this is not unauthorized dumping. It's called open dumping. But when you take this one, probably suppose if a government gives a particular land site for dumping all the waste, then we can say it is landfill. Then we can say it is landfill. Okay. Normally this and all, it's a landfill. Actually, this is landfill because this is a government authorized place. But actually in a landfill, what you need to do is you need to dig a hole, you need to put all the waste and then finally close it, convert into a park or something. That is what original landfill. Okay, landfill is a second option. So anyway, comparing with open dumping, landfill is better, much more better. But even from the landfill also, you can see here, the methogenesis cannot all happen. Even some contamination can happen from the landfill. So within this, we have another landfill, which is much more better, sanitary landfill. Okay, what is that sanitary landfill is? So here they will construct a concrete construction. They will do a concrete construction. So inside the concrete construction, they will put all the waste and they will finally close it. So comparing with the normal open dumping and landfill, I will say that sanitary landfill will be better because it will not leaching will not happen. So that's the reason sanitary landfill is somewhat better. But the question is, can we go for landfill? Is it possible for us to open dumping? We should never do, but open dumping is mostly in India. So we need to go for option of landfill or sanitary landfill. Anyway, sanitary landfill will be very costly, but landfill as option, can we go for? We cannot go for landfill option because we don't have much land. Yes, good. Because if we take Chennai, so Chennai, where you can get land? See, up to 40 kilometers, the cities are developing. Am I right? If you are residing in Chennai, even you go to Tiruvallur, again, Tiruvallur cost is also high. So getting a land in Chennai is very, very difficult. So that's what landfill, getting a land is not a so easy task. So landfill, sanitary landfill for India is not at all a workable option. Is not at all a workable option. Okay, then what you can do with the waste? So then if landfill, open dumping is not at all option, landfill and sanitary landfill, both are not option, then what you can do? Yes, you can recycle. Okay, you can recycle. So for that, what we can do is, now we have decided, if you take a municipal solid waste, we have two types of waste. We have this organic waste and inorganic waste. We have organic waste and inorganic waste. Okay, now what we need to do is, this organic waste, we can send it to composting plant. We can send it to composting plant. So that convert into a manure. That's a good option. So all the organic waste, we can send it to composting plant where we can convert into manure. All the inorganic waste, what we can do is we can send it to incinerator. We can send it to incinerator and then we can burn it. Now, this incinerator is not a normal incinerator. It is called waste to energy incinerator or waste energy plant. Okay, waste energy plant. So what we'll do is we will put all the inorganic waste and we will burn it. Incineration is something burning, am I right? we will burn it. So once you burn, you get a heat energy. That heat energy you need to transfer to a boiler so that the water is heated, converted into a steam, in turn superheated steam. So that will be sent to a turbine, where a turbine is made to rotate and connected to a generator where electricity can be generated. This is what we call it as waste energy. That is the waste we are converting into electricity. Okay, suppose, so now here, the only challenge what we have is segregation. For that, we need to do segregation. So MSW, if you segregate it, you can remove all the organic waste, send it to the composting plant for converting into manure. All the inorganic waste, you can send it to the incinerator plant where we can convert into electricity. Right now, the government has decided this is the best option for MSW, because by 2050, if you get around 12 lakh ton per day, so it is completely not possible for us to manage. So that time landfill, sanitary landfill and all will not work out. So the best way is to burn, convert that waste into energy, electricity, and also all the organic waste, vegetable waste and all, you can convert into manure. So this is the policy right now we have taken for MSW. Okay. So now, what are the challenges we have in this policy? Okay, you can see this. This is what incinerator plant. You see all the waste they are putting in the conveyor. So they put it in the conveyor. So what the conveyor does, the conveyor take it in the turbine, it is getting burnt off, so that the electricity is produced. Okay, so now by and large, everyone, the government has decided that. Of course, we have cross-checked many countries. So they have visited Singapore, Japan, many countries. So every country is following this practice. So every country is following this practice, converting into part of the thing, converting into manure, part of the thing, it is converting into the electricity. So here, what is a challenge? We have one or two challenges. So if the government removes these challenges, if the government attacks these challenges, then there are more chances this particular policy, MSW disposal policy, will be better. Okay, so what is the policy we have taken is, so Niti Aayog. So under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, they have made a policy that we need to generate 800 megawatts of electricity from the MSW through the PPP model, public-private partnership model, public-private partnership model. So we need to build, or we need to create 800 megawatts. So Niti Aayog says that the scope is very high. To start with, we can go for 800 megawatts of electricity production. So for this, right now, at present, 40 plus waste to energy plant is in the various stages of construction. 40 plus waste to energy plant is in the various stages of construction. Okay, right now, the thing is, we have around, I'm not sure about the number of plants we have. So I'm telling very rough plan. I think some around 12 plants or something we have. I do not know how many number of plant right now we have. That is waste energy plant. In that, 50% of the plant is non-operational. So it is from the Hindu News only. So the Hindu News says that the Niti Aayog has planned for 800 megawatts of electricity production from the MSW through the PPP model under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So for that, a budget has been allocated where 40 plus waste energy plant across India is being constructed right now. Okay, 40 plus waste energy plant is being constructed right now. Okay, right now, at the same time, at present in the country, we have around 12 plus plants or something. In that, 50% is non-operational. 50% is not working. In this case, the news says that what is the use of bringing 40 plus waste energy plant? Okay. So why? So now let's see the challenges why. The first and foremost reason is, if you take our MSW has more moisture. Our MSW has more moisture and also less calorific value. So if you compare our MSW with other country MSW, like Japan MSW and all, Japan MSW is dry. It's comparatively very dry. But the Indian MSW, naturally it has got more moisture. And if you see in terms of calorific value also, it has less calorific value. The second biggest challenge is no segregation. So now, if you take this MSW plants, no segregation. So I'm writing it here. No moisture. Just a minute. So the first point is, as I told you, more moisture. More moisture, less calorific value. Okay, I will go slow. More moisture and less calorific value. That's the first one. Second is no segregation. See, here's a plant. This is what a plant. So for this plant, what you need to do is this MSW, you need to break organic and inorganic. So only the inorganic you need to send to them. Suppose if you are sending the organic, what will happen? It will have organic something, vegetable waste and all. It will have more moisture. Already our MSW, the inorganic itself has more moisture. In that, if you add up the organic waste, then obviously the plant will have, of course, this MSW, whatever you give, will have more moisture. Am I right? If they have more moisture, so what will happen in the plant? Okay, it will not burn properly. So very simple. If you have more moisture, it will not burn properly. See, if it is not burning properly, what the plant he will do? Definitely, he will use more fuel. Am I right? Additionally, he will pour fuel for burning. Am I right? That is what normally happens. So, since segregation is not happening, since more fuel is spent, finally, if this plant generates electricity, the electricity cost comes anywhere around ₹7 per unit. Suppose if the owner of the plant, if he sells ₹7 per unit only, he will make profit. Otherwise, he will be in the loss. Okay. So now, ₹7 per unit, who will purchase? No one will purchase. Am I right? No one will purchase. Even electricity board itself, he says that. So electricity board says that I can get a ₹3 per unit from coal power plant. So why should I get from you? So most of the time, since it is not purchased by anyone, of course, what they have to do, they have to close the plant. This is what 50% of the plant is closed. The second is pollution. Second is pollution. Anyway, when you're burning the inorganic waste, pollution is going to come out. Now, how you will tackle the pollution? Because in Odisha, I think there is one plant in Okla or something, it's a plant name. That plant has produced a lot of pollution. There's MSW plant. And because of that reason, the local people went to the NGT, National Green Tribunal, and filed a complaint. And this NGT has slapped 25 lakh fine for this plant. Because of that reason, he has closed the plant itself. So pollution is the second thing. Segregation. Okay. So segregation is not happening. So MSW rule says that every household has to do segregation. Whether we do segregation? No, we are not doing segregation. So when we give the waste, are we segregating? Not everyone. Suppose if you are in a flats and all, definitely you need to segregate. So in Bangalore and Pune and all, segregation is happening to some extent. But when you come to cities like Chennai and all, segregation is not happening. So when you come to the household, we don't segregate and give it. We don't segregate as, wet waste, dry waste, and we don't give it. So because of that, because of the non-segregation, all the waste comes to the MSW plant. Now they cannot sit and segregate it. Okay, so from the house, so let me say that from the house, it goes to corporation. So probably from the corporation only, it goes to waste energy plant. Okay, now either the house has to segregate, or the corporation has to segregate, or the energy plant has to segregate. Now the energy plant says that I don't have time, I don't have manpower to segregate. Okay, so this is ruled out. Okay, when come to corporation, corporation says that whatever the budget I have to collect this MSW, 80% of the budget is spent on collection and transportation. So whatever the money I have in the municipal corporation, 80% of the money I've spent on collection and transportation of the waste. So in this 20% of the money, I cannot do segregation. And also there's no people to do segregation. Then who has to do the segregation? It is only household has to do segregation. Now it is not enforced, even though in 2011 itself we brought a rule, MSW rule, that okay, the people have to segregate it, but it is not enforced. So now some or other way, what the corporation has to do is, the corporation either has to get the segregated, organic, inorganic segregated waste from the household, or either the corporation has to segregate it. Okay, then give it the organic waste to the inorganic waste to the waste energy plant, and give the organic waste to the composting plant. Then obviously we will have some solution. At the same time, okay, pollution that is going to come out from the waste energy plant. So how the government is going to tackle it? For that also the government should find a solution. So if the government finds a solution from this only, then this particular policy will be successful. Otherwise, this policy will not be successful at all. Okay, then 2050, when you reach, we may have 12 lakh ton per day, 12 lakh ton per day waste. Okay, in that you can see probably 12 lakh ton per day may be there. So in that also, the another thing is, waste energy plant may not also be functional. So that tackling the MSW will become a difficult task in India. Okay, so that is about the MSW issue. So the issue is about moisture issue. The issue is about segregation issue. The issue is about, okay, cost of the electricity. So now the government should also, purchase that electricity. The electricity board must purchase the electricity from the MSW. Otherwise, he will close the plant. And then issues about pollution. If these 4 issues are resolved, then definitely this MSW will be completely converted into manure and will be completely converted into, electricity. This is the 4th challenge the government has to tackle. One is the government, how they are going to tackle the moisture issue, how they are going to tackle the segregation issue, how they are going to tackle the electricity purchase. Even though cost comes to 7 rupees or 6 rupees, it has to be purchased by the electricity board. 4th one, how they are going to tackle the pollution issue. Without that, if you are installing this 40 plus electricity, 40 plus waste energy plant, there is no use at all. Okay, that is the right now issue with the MSW. Okay. Okay, the next one is e-waste. 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 So e-waste stands for electrical and electronic waste. Just a minute. Okay, e-waste, electrical and electronic waste. So you know, in the 6 stages, which is a challenging one for the e-waste. So out of the 6 stages, which will be the challenging? Yes, it is processing, of course, disposal. Segregation, not exactly segregation, but disposal. Why I'm saying disposal is, see, when you take any e-waste, some PCBs or any electronic product, just like that, you cannot break it. You cannot break it. So you have to break under a controlled atmosphere. So that is something called dismantling center. Okay, so just like that, you cannot do it in roadside or something. You need to have a dismantling center. So where the person who dismantle, you should have knowledge. And the second thing is, so he should use gloves, mask, everything. Okay, at the same time, some technical support is needed so that the dismantling and disposal should be safe. If it is not dismantled or disposed in a safe manner, what will happen? Definitely from the e-waste, there are more than 30 plus pollutant. Now this 30 plus pollutant, many are carcinogen and mutagen, where we have lot of heavy metal that can easily enter into air phase, water phase, and soil phase. So e-waste disposal is not a thing. So if you take an electronic product and all, just like that, you cannot break it. So you have to carefully break it. You need to carefully remove each and every part, carefully, further break it and remove it. But despite of that, this e-waste business is a very, very profitable business. It's a highly profitable business because if you break the e-waste, probably you can get gold, silver, am I right? So platinum, some of the profitable, so which you can recycle it. So where you have a good demand in the market. So as a e-waste, it's a very, very profitable business. But the only condition is the e-waste has to be dismantled in a careful, controlled atmosphere. So normally, technical knowledge is very important. So that is what common term in environment, they say that you need to use environment sound management principle. Environment sound management principle, ESM principle. They call it as ESM principle, environment sound management principle. In China, there is a place called Gayu. Gayu, it is the e-waste capital of the world. It is in China. It is the e-waste capital of the world. Okay, why it is called the e-waste capital of the world is, if you go to the Gayu village, outside every houses, there will be a pile of e-waste where every family member will dismantle it. Of course, it's an unsafe way. So that's what e-waste has to be dismantled in a safe and controlled manner. So for that, technical knowledge is very important. Without that, it should not be disposed. So that is what the challenge is happening. In many places, e-waste are dismantled in an unsafe manner because of the profitable business nature, so that more pollution can enter into the person who dismantles it. And not only to him, it can also travel to air, water, and other phases, which can create harm to the environment. So that is what the major challenge in e-waste. Okay, so in this e-waste, what are the hazardous substances we have? So there are many hazardous substances. Just I'm going to give you some of the major hazardous substances. Many are heavy metal, arsenic, mercury, lead, nickel, chromium, cadmium, selenium, barium, beryllium, okay, PVC, CFC, dioxin. These are all very dangerous. Antimony trioxide, BFR, brominated flame retardant, brominated flame retardant, then PCB, polychlorinated biphenyl. This is also very dangerous. This is also very dangerous. This is all very, very dangerous. Dioxin. See, some of the chemicals I have given: arsenic, barium, beryllium, cadmium, CFC, chromium, dioxin, lead, mercury, PCB, okay, PVC, selenium, antimony trioxide, BFR. So these are the very hazardous, major hazardous substances that comes from a e-waste, present in the e-waste. So when you dismantle it, you have to be very careful with this chemical, because many chemicals can directly target major organs like kidney, liver, and all, even central nervous system, and many are carcinogen and mutagen. So that is what we have to be very careful in the dismantling center. So in the dismantling center, we need to have environment sound management principle. Okay, so the highest dismantling center in India, I think it is in Karnataka. Okay, now, so what we have done, what the government of India has done to control this? What the government of India has done to control this? Okay, so for this, the government of India has brought a e-waste management handling rules. So of course, all the management handling rules, you cannot read it, but before the exam, at least some of the major provisions, you can have a look and try to go. Okay, that is what you can do, because you cannot remember all the management handling rules and all. So it's not possible. So whatever possible, you can have a reading. So in the e-waste management handling rules, of course, they have given the various provision how to control the e-waste. In that, for the first time in India, we brought a concept what is called EPR under the e-waste management handling rules, which is called extended producer responsibility. It's called EPR, extended producer responsibility. Extended producer responsibility. See, it's called extended producer responsibility. That is, we want to fix the e-waste responsibility on the producer. That is what we call it as an extended producer responsibility. So how we are going to do is, so now let me take, it's a Samsung TV. Suppose assume that you have a Samsung TV. So you may use it for 7 years or 8 years. So after that, probably, the TV has lost its life. That is, the product life cycle is over. So once the product life cycle is over, probably you may give the TV to a dealer or something for 1,000 rupees or something. Now, the dealer, what he has to do is, he has to send it to the Samsung center facility. Now, it is a responsibility for the Samsung to dismantle it and dispose it in a safer manner. So we are fixing the responsibility on the producer. For the first time in India, for the e-waste only, we have brought the concept of EPR. So this concept is in America actually. So we copied only from America and some of the rich countries like Europe and all. So they cannot, because e-waste, if it has been handled by someone else, probably, it will have a lot of dangerous effect. So that is the reason we are fixing the responsibility on the producer themselves. Any electrical and electronic manufacturer, once a product life cycle is over, it is their responsibility. So now, if you take Samsung, Samsung is a manufacturing company, so they cannot do this activity. But what Samsung can do is, Samsung can appoint a vendor. It is nothing but producer responsibility organization. Samsung will have list of vendors. This vendors means they are the one, okay, who are called as producer responsibility organization. Now, this vendor, this companies, dismantling companies, on behalf of the Samsung, they will collect all the Samsung products after its life cycle is over. They will dismantle it and dispose in a safer method. And once they dismantle it, whatever the minerals they get it, they will sell it. They will recycle it, they will sell it. That is what the concept of EPR and PRO. So Samsung will appoint PRO. The PRO are nothing but a company, small companies, dismantling company, okay, who will have this technical knowledge to dismantle it. They will have a proper dismantling center. So it will be completely, funded, supported by the Samsung company. So Samsung company will take the responsibility for it. So that is what Samsung is an example I'm telling. Samsung, LG, whichever company, okay, the electronic company. So finally, they will dismantle it and dispose in a safer method. So this is what today we have a plan for e-waste. Now this concept of EPR PRO is successful in many rich countries. So we need to see how well it is going to work in India. Okay, that is about the e-waste. That's a challenge right now in the e-waste. So dismantling is the biggest challenge. The next is plastic waste. So that plastic is it's a hydrocarbon, a polymerase. Through the polymerization, it is processed. Through the polymerization, it is produced. So it is basically a non-biodegradable. Am I right? So we have two types of plastic: thermoplastics, thermoset plastics. Thermoplastic, thermoset plastic. The difference is thermoplastics can be recycled. Thermoset can never be recycled. But anyway, thermo recycle means don't think that it can be recycled many number of times. Okay, only for a 3 times or 4 times, 2 times to 3 times only they can be recycled. Beyond that, it cannot be recycled. And when you take a plastic, there is no doubt. So we use a lot of plastics. In India, approximately 8 million tons of plastics, products we are consuming every year. So in this, some of the thing we are, recycling it. Now, what is the challenge in the plastics? What is the challenge in the plastics? The biggest challenge in the plastic is, if you take the 6 stages, which stages can be challenging? The 6 stages: collection, distribution. In this, which stages is disposal? Of course, disposal is not a challenge. Today, we have a method to dispose the plastic in a safe way. The biggest challenge comes in the collection. Collection efficiency is poor, especially in the single-use plastics like carry bags and all. See, what is that collection efficiency is poor? See, today we know how much amount of plastic covers or plastic, single-use plastics or thermoplastics is produced in the country. Now, after its usage, some or other way, it has to come back to the corporation. All right, corporation, municipal corporation for disposal. But in that, more than 40%, nearing 40 to 50% is not coming back. Only 50% is coming back. 50% of the plastic waste is not coming back. Okay, where it goes? Okay, some plastic covers and all we may retain in the house. Okay, fine. That maybe we may keep it for reuse, recycle. That's okay. That is very marginal. More than 30 to 40%, or nearing 40%, we throw it. Am I right? We throw it. So we throw it the roadside and this thing. Okay, when we throw it, actually where it goes, it gets into the soil, ground. It gets into the soil, ground. So you just go out in your house, randomly you dig a hole. Damn sure that you will find 1 or 2 plastic cover. So our entire earth, I will say that by and large, especially in the cities and all, if you randomly go to a place, dig a hole, definitely you will find plastic covers. So either it goes to the soil, into the ground, and finally it goes to the water, nothing but ocean. So they say that many billion tons of plastics are entering into the ocean. So every year 12.7 million tons is entering into the ocean. Just imagine, across the world 12 million tons is entering into the ocean approximately. Okay, so okay, now let's see. Suppose if the plastic enters into soil, enters into ocean, what will happen? First, let us take soil. Soil, suppose plastic entering into soil, what will happen? First thing. So normally when you have assume this is a soil layer, suppose when the plastic bags, carry bags and all enters, it will not allow the water. First, it will not decompose. That is right. Anyway, plastic and all will take a lot of time. So first thing, it will not allow the water. So that is what the first point is, does not allow water into soil profile. Does not allow water into soil profile. Does not allow water into soil profile. Because of that, today groundwater recharge is not happening properly. Okay, sometimes plant is also getting affected. That is one. The second biggest problem is many organism consumes it. Cow and all consumes the plastic. Goat consumes the plastic. So in one case, even some 6-8 months back also, from the cow intestine, they took around more than, I'm not very sure about the number of so much of kg of plastic covers they took it. Even in the elephant, from the elephant, from the intestine they took it. They choke the intestine and kills the organism. So that is what the second one is, choking into organism when consumes. It is not bioaccumulation, it is choking. Okay, that is second problem it will create when any organism consumes. The third is it will leach. See, the plastic is made up of many chemicals. Now, some of these chemicals will leach out and it will enter into soil so that it can enter into water or enter into plant. So, leaching of chemicals into soil and water. Leaching of chemicals into soil and water. Okay, this is what happens when it enters into the soil. Okay, that is one side. Okay, when it enters into ocean, what will happen? Now you see the picture. You can see most nearing around 12 million tons is entering into the ocean. When it enters into the ocean, what will happen? The same problem. The first and foremost thing is when the plastics enter into it, it will first interfere with the plankton. See, normally plankton and all will be in the top. So the first point is interfere plankton species. Interfere plankton species. Okay. The second one is it's not only interfere plankton species, at the same time it will block sunlight. Am I right? So it will block the sunlight. So once it blocks the sunlight, automatically the water will become dark, and at the same time the temperature of the water will come down. So that means you are changing the abiotic condition. So when the abiotic conditions are changed, probably the organism may die. And at the same time, just imagine, of course, it blocks the oxygen also. And suppose assume that here where under this plastics only corals are there, seagrass bed. And I told you coral, seagrass bed and all needs a lot of sunlight. So without that, they cannot do photosynthetic activity, especially the zoonthale, the corals and all. So now, by and large, what happens, you see, it will affect the biodiversity. Okay, and more important is this plastic also, it is consumed by organism. So the same choking effect will happen. Some big organism and all consumes it. Sometimes what happens is the plastic bottle and all will get entangled in the fins of the turtles. So marine turtle fins and all, it will get entangled. So because of it also, many turtles will get died. It's only turtle, not many organisms will get died. Okay, and moreover, what happens? You see, it will not get consumed. It will not, it will not decompose easily, and also collection is also very very difficult. Am I right? So once it enters the ocean, it enters the deep of the ocean and all, you cannot easily collect, because when the bottles and all, when it is getting filled with water, more chances it will go down. So that time collection becomes very difficult for us. And more important is this plastic, it may further break down and convert into microplastics. Actually, this is a concern right now. Okay, that is after some point of time, it is broken down. So when it is broken down into pieces, the time microplastics will come out. Now this microplastic only kills many organisms. That's a right now concern. This microplastic is killing many type of organism, many marine organism it kills. Okay, these are the challenges right now we have with the microplastic, with the marine plastics, when the marine enters into marine. Okay, so now this is what challenge we have. So what we need to do for plastics? Yes, it will interfere with the plankton species. That is, it will it will disturb the phytoplankton and zooplankton. So what we can do? So now this is a challenge right now. So plastic, it's not getting into it's not getting into soil. It's sometimes it may get into soil, it may get into ocean, it may disturb the ecosystem. So what can we do? There is only one way to avoid. All right. See, if you are getting the plastic back, then it's no issue. Yes, we can dispose the plastic in a safe method. So now the problem itself is a collection efficiency. The problem itself is collection efficiency. That is the problem. Once it is collected, there's no issue at all. Now we will discuss what are the effective ways. So we will see what are the effective ways of disposal of this plastics. Yes, today we have some effective methods to dispose of plastic. But the thing is, collecting is very difficult. Once you collect it, okay, we can dispose it. Since the collection efficiency itself is 50%, okay, because of the reason, plastics either enter into ocean, either enter into soil. Now what can we do? It is only to avoid plastics. That's all. That is the reason. To start with, we have brought ban of single-use plastics. That is a major challenge. Okay, normally single-use plastic means many people think that it is only carry bag. So please keep in mind, single-use plastic, it is not only carry bag. It also includes bottles, straws, containers, packages, cups, cutleries. All right, there are many single-use plastic. So whether have we banned all the single-use plastic recently in India? No. Only certain types of single-use plastic only we have banned it. We brought some alternate, biodegradable plastic. That's a good thing, but we have not banned all the single-use plastic. And especially within the single-use plastic, 40% of the single-use plastic is a plastic which is called multi-layered plastic. Multi-layered plastics, MLP. It's called MLP, multi-layered plastic. Now, this is the biggest challenge right now we have. So what is this multi-layered plastic? This is a plastic which is used in the packaging industry. Suppose if you take a biscuit packet, kurkure packet, Lay's packet and all, the packages and all is nothing but a MLP. So right now we don't have an alternate. So that is the reason the government has not banned this MLP. Nearing more than 40% is MLP, because this MLP, they say that it is not, recoverable. It cannot be recycled at the same time. It also not energy recoverable. It's a non-energy recoverable. So now this MLP is the biggest challenge right now we have. And that too is controlled by major corporates, like Coke, PepsiCo, ITC, big corporates have it. So that is the reason we are not able to ban it, because we don't have any alternate for it. So if you for lace packet, what is the alternate you can bring? Can you bring a bottle? No, it's not possible. Can you bring paper? Paper? No, that's also not possible because it will tear in the packaging. It will tear in the transport and packaging and all. So that is the reason today we have this challenge. So they are working out for this MLP. So by and large, we want to ban all the single-use plastic. That is a only way to control the plastic. Okay, once you collect all the plastics, so you go clean the ocean, take from the soil. Okay, then how can you dispose the plastic? Yes, today we have some methods to disposal of plastics. Today we have some effective methods for disposal of plastic. So in that, the first method is plastic bitumen road. Plastic bitumen road. Plastic bitumen road. That is, you can collect all these plastics, you can shred the plastic, and then what you can do is you can process it and mix in the tar road, and you can lay as a road. So this was first, discovered by, invented by the, or innovated by the Bengalorean. So he only brought it. Today, the government of India has accepted it, and across India. So right now we are going for this plastic bitumen road, and also today the World Bank is also promoting this plastic bitumen road. Now, by having a plastic bitumen road, okay, we have some better ideas. We have some benefits. Normally in a road, what is the problem you will find? In any tar road, and the one is pothole. Right, here and there, holes will be there. The second is bleeding issue. Sometimes it will, it will swell because of the heat, because of the high temperature, especially in the summer month. So this is what the two problems you will find in any plastic road. Now, this two problem can be minimized by adding plastic, because when you mix a plastic, you know that the plastic, see why you have a pothole. The reason is when a water enters, the road comes out, the road breaks it. So when you mix a plastic, what will happen? The water cannot penetrate. Because of that, pothole formation will be minimized. The second is, they say that when you mix a plastic and bitumen in a right proportion, it increases the softening temperature. It increases the softening temperature. Because of that reason, this swelling issue, normally bleeding issue, is also reduced. And at the same time, plastic is also disposed in a safe method. So that is the reason we are going for plastic bitumen road. Even today, World Bank itself is promoting this plastic bitumen road. Okay, so as a disposal, we don't have an issue with the plastics. Okay, this is one. Second method is, we can also convert. See, bleeding is something, during the summer month, it will swallow, or when ubidum, swelling will happen. That's called bleeding. And then it will break. So that will be controlled by plastics. Because they say that when you mix a plastic and bitumen in a proper proportion, it will increase the softening temperature. Because of that, bleeding issue may be controlled. Okay, the next is convert the plastic into liquid RDF. Sorry. We can convert the plastic into liquid RDF. Okay, RDF stands for refused derived fuel. RDF stands for refused derived fuel. So you have to do some chemical processing, and then you can convert the plastic into a liquid RDF. Now this liquid RDF will be equivalent to a light diesel oil. It will be equivalent to a light diesel oil. So it can be used for normal industrial burning, turbine burning and all, you can use it. Okay, the furnace burning and all, but you cannot use it for engines and all. It's not possible. So that this particular plastics are converted into fuel. Now, the very important is this fuel will have a sulfur content of only 0.03%, so that it's a very clean energy. At the same time, since we are taking it from the waste, it has no tax and also it is very cheap. It has no tax and also it is very cheap. Okay, that is what the best method is, converting into liquid RDF. Okay, that's the second one. The third one is we can also use the plastic in co-processing in cement industry. 0.03% is a sulfur content. Sulfur content is very less, so that sulfur dioxide will not come out. So I mean that it's a clean energy. Okay, it is also used in the co-processing in cement industry. It is a light diesel oil or turbine oil. It can be used as a furnace oil. This liquid RDF can be used as a furnace oil. Can be used as a furnace oil. Okay. It is used in the co-processing in the cement industry because of high temperature. Okay. So co-processing in cement industry, that is, this plastics can be used as a fuel in the cement industry. Normally, when you burn a plastic, definitely toxic gases will come out. But when the plastic is burned in a very high temperature, now this toxic gases will be suppressed. So that is the reason today they are directly sending all the plastic to the cement industry, because cement industry uses high temperature. Sometimes they also call it as alternate fuel. Plastics can be used as an alternate fuel in the cement industry. Okay, that's another disposal method. So when come to the plastic, disposal is not a big issue. The issue is only collection. And the major issue is the single-use plastic, because more than 50% is not getting collected. It goes to the ocean, it disturbs the ocean ecosystem, which we cannot collect it. It goes to the land, enters into the land soil horizon, and also disturbs the soil organism. Okay, and the various terrestrial organism. Okay, that is about the plastics. So now we are talking about another plastic that is called microplastics. See, in the cement industry, in the direct burning itself, they will put the plastic. They will use the plastic as a fuel itself directly. Microplastics. It is also called as microbead, microfibers. It is also called as microfibers, microbeads. So the term itself says microplastic. It's a small plastic. The United States Environment Protection Agency says it. If any plastic is less than 5 mm, you can call it as a microplastics. But many microplastic will be in the size of some around 20 microns and all. Now today the microplastic is a great concern in the ocean. So microplastic is a small plastics. So here this microplastics are produced by some small manufacturing company. Some small scale industries and all is there. They are producing this microplastics. And then they are selling it to some of the big companies, like companies like some industries like cosmetic industry, okay, cream industries, paint industries, like that they sell it. Okay, so that's how microplastic has its use. Okay, now microplastic, how it is used, where it is used. Basically, for this microplastic, we can divide into two types of microplastic: primary microplastic, secondary microplastic. Primary microplastic, secondary microplastics. Primary microplastic is nothing but the microplastics are produced or manufactured by small scale industry, and it is given to cosmetic industries. So today in the cosmetic industry, if you take shampoo, sun cream, lipstick, exfoliator, soap bar, everything will have microplastics. They are mixing this microplastics. Okay, second is paint and coating industry. They are also using this microplastic. And of course, synthetic textile. Synthetic textiles are also using this microplastic. And also it seems that furniture industry is also using microplastic, and also other some industries also using. So furniture industry, cotton textile industries, synthetic textile industry, painting and coating, cosmetic industries and all, they use this microplastics. Okay, what is a secondary microplastic? Secondary microplastic, that is when a large plastic broken into pieces it is called secondary microplastics. When large plastics broken into pieces, it's called secondary microplastics. So normally happen in the aquatic, and apart from that, even washing of clothes. Washing of clothes is also the secondary microplastic comes. And IUCN says that car tire wearing. When the car tire run, that time this microplastic comes out. The friction between the road and the car tire, this microplastic comes out. Okay, this is where the microplastics are being used. Primary microplastic, secondary microplastic. Okay, what this microplastic will do when it enters into the body? Today we have come to know that this microplastic is right now in all the water bodies. So recently the US Environment Protection Agency has found that the ground well has got microplastic. Right now, even in your room, it will be in the particulate matter size, invisible size, the microplastics will be there because of usage of textiles and furnitures and all. So right now, microplastic has increased like anything. So what are the microplastic will do? So problems, if you take characteristics of a microplastic, the first thing is if you take the characteristics, the first thing is they say that microplastic is a bio-inert. See, right now we don't have much information on microplastics because still it's in the research stage. Bio-inert. Bio-inert means it will not biologically react. Suppose you inhale a microplastic, when you drink a water, when the microplastic enters into a system, it may not react in the body, but it will, accumulate. Okay, that is, it can accumulate in your intestine and all. It can cause physical obstruction. So physical obstruction can happen. So it can cause physical obstruction. So physical obstruction can happen. That is possible. Okay, then even though microplastic may not react, they say that this microplastic can act like vector. That is, this microplastic can easily join with some bacteria and viruses, that is pathogen, and also it can join with heavy metals, lead, mercury and all. By that way, it will take all these elements into our body. Because of that, the pathogen will react, the heavy metal will react. Okay, the fourth one is, which they are not very clear. In order to make a plastic, we use lot of chemicals. So probably these chemicals may also be in the microplastic. So definitely this carcinogen in plastics may leach, which they are not very clear. Okay, they are not very clear. Basically, it will not react as a microplastic. It will not react in our body. Okay, but when it goes and gets accumulated in the tissues and all, probably in the intestine and all, it can cause physical obstruction. But microplastic in the outside, it can easily join with some pathogen, okay, with heavy metal and all, so that it can go inside. So it can create sometimes the microplastics may have a carcinogen, because plastics, in order to produce a plastic, we are using a lot of chemical, which is a carcinogen. So that carcinogen can leach and come out. So today the real concern is microplastic, because large plastic is broken down into pieces in the marine. This microplastic kills many aquatic organisms. Today that is a concern because of choking and all. So what happens, you see, this microplastics are consumed by fishes and birds and some other marine organism, and it is getting affected. Today that is the biggest concern right now we have. Okay, that is about the microplastics. It is also called microbeads, also called microfibers. Okay, so we have seen the three things, that is plastics, microplastics, e-waste, and MSW. So now two more things we need to see. The main is hazardous waste. We need to see some convention, and then one more, biomedical. Actually, nothing much to discuss on biomedical, but anyway, we will see how biomedical waste are disposed. Primary microplastic is produced directly by some small manufacturing company. They produce this microplastic and they sell it to cosmetic industry, because all the cosmetic product right now we use, like creams, soap bar, shampoo, lipstick, anything you use, sun creams, everything will have a microplastic. Even paint industries and all uses a lot of microplastic. Car tire industry is using microplastic. Furniture industry, textile industries and all, they are using this microplastics. Okay. Okay, we will take a small break and then we will get into hazardous waste. Okay, shall we start? So the next one is biomedical. See, biomedical, we don't have much to discuss, but we'll try to see some of the disposal methods. So we have biomedical management handling rules. So till now, we didn't find any question from biomedical. So we'll see the various, the biomedical waste and how it is getting disposed. Okay, so here, the first one in the biomedical waste is human anatomical waste. So it is a human or even take animal anatomical waste. Okay, what is that? It is nothing but tissues, organ, right? After the surgery, they may remove organ, they remove the tissues. So that all comes under. So what we need to do with that? So what we can do with this waste? We have to either incinerate, okay, or we can also go for deep burial so that it can get decomposed. Okay. So the first one, the human anatomical waste, it can be incinerated or it can be deep buried. Okay, that is one. Number two is microbiological or biotechnological waste, like cultures, vaccines, that and all. Okay, what you need to do is, of course, we need to sterilize it. So for this, in biomedical, we have a process called autoclaving. Autoclaving. So autoclaving, that is heating above its boiling point. Heating above boiling point. That's called autoclaving. Okay, the second is incineration. And then you can do this incineration. You have to heat above the boiling point and then you need to do incineration. So when you do autoclaving, of course, it will kill all the microorganisms. Okay, that's the one. The third one is what we have to do with the waste sharp. Probably we may have a syringe, we may have a needle, scalpels, scissors, knives, so surgical equipments. So what we have to do is either we have to go for autoclaving or sometimes microwaving. It depends on the condition. Either autoclaving, microwaving, and then we need to cut into pieces. That is called shredding. We need to cut into pieces. That's called shredding. Okay. Then the fourth one is discarded medicines. Shredding means cutting into pieces. Discarded medicines. Yes, you can go for incineration. You can go for incineration. The fifth one is solid waste. So normally you may have a blood, cotton, plasters, such type of solid waste. Yes, you can go for autoclaving or microwaving. Okay, and then you have to shred it. Then you have to shred it. Okay. Then if you have a liquid waste, so definitely you need to use disinfectant. You must mix with the disinfectant and then you can directly drain it. And directly you can drain it. Okay. Then the last one is incinerated ash. So because we are incinerating, am I right? What the ash we need to do is, that ash we need to send it to the municipal landfill. Okay. That ash we need to send it to the municipal landfill. This is what the disposal methods for biomedical waste. Okay. That is about the biomedical. The last one is we need to see hazardous waste. Hazardous waste. Yes, anything liquid waste, they will drain it. The last one is hazardous waste. Okay, what is a hazardous waste? So if you see the hazardous waste, the definition is a very broad definition. So you do not write the entire definition. That is, any waste by reason if it is physical, chemical, reactive, toxic, flammable, explosive, or corrosive characteristics that cause danger to the human health or environment. That cause danger to the human health and environment. So you see, it's a very broad category. So it is something, anything physical, anything chemical, anything reactive, toxic, flammable, explosive, corrosive characteristics. Okay. So which is, which is causing danger to the human health or to the environment is called hazardous waste. So probably, as I told you earlier, the e-waste, some of the e-waste and all comes under the hazardous waste also. All right. So e-waste, we are giving a separate category. But once upon a time, if you take all the lead, mercury and all, of course, it's all toxic. Am I right? It's all toxic and reactive. It's a chemical. It's a some chemicals are very corrosive. So every I will say that all the waste will come under the hazardous waste. Anyway, at one point of time. So today we have separated the hazardous waste and we have more than 1,000 hazardous waste. So we cannot see all the hazardous waste, which has been put under 3 schedule. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. So based on the seriousness of the particular chemical and the disposal method, it has been divided into different schedules. Okay, now, so we cannot get into each and every hazardous waste and all. It's not possible. So we will try to see some convention related to hazardous waste. So in this, the first hazardous waste, what we are going to discuss is POP, persistent organic pollutant. You can see here. First, we'll discuss a hazardous waste, POP, persistent organic pollutant. So now you can see a lady here and a book. So the book name is a very famous book called Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson. She is Rachel Carson. She only wrote this book. So in this book, she wrote about a chemical called DDT. DDT is a POP, is a persistent organic pollutant. because that time we use a lot of DDT. Basically, DDT is used as an insecticide. It's an insect killer. It's used as an insecticide. So once upon a time, when we use it by 1950s, 60s and all, when we use this DDT, we thought that DDT does not cause any harm to the environment and health. Okay, but for the first time, this Rachel Carson, she only wrote about this DDT because the DDT was used to control malaria, and at the same time, this DDT was also used in the military. And this chemical, how it has impacted the human health, especially the American soldier. So that entire, the novel she has written in this book. So when this book came out, when many people read the book, then lot of protests has happened in US, in United States. Okay, and the people started demanding to take action on this POP, persistent organic pollutant. Immediately, the government also identified what are all the POP it is being used. In that time, the government came to know that, the US government came to know that there were 12 POP is being used in hazardous waste. It's used in, many industries and all. So normally the US used to call it as a dirty dozen. They used to call it as a dirty dozen, and the US government immediately controlled this 12 POP, 12 persistent organic pollutant. Okay, so now if you take POP, what is the risk factor of this POP? There are many POP. Probably some of the POP name you would have not heard about at all, because these POPs are mostly used in the agriculture pesticide and also some industry. So if we take POP uses, where it is used is, it is mostly used in pesticides, pesticide, insecticide. Okay, it is also used in industry. In industrial chemicals, it is used. It is also used as a flame retardant. It is used as a flame retardant. It also used in electronic industry. Okay, it is also used in electronic industry. Many names of POP probably you would have not heard about, but one POP some few years back, it was very famous, endosulfan. In Kerala, probably you would have heard about this, endosulfan. PHUN, endosulfan. Okay, now this POP, what it will do? What are the health effects it will create? If you want to know, you can see this picture. If any POP, this 12 POP, if it enters into the human system, okay, it will affect the entire human body. So for example, if you want to know about this one POP endosulfan, you can see this picture. You see what has happened to the children's, the newborn children, and you can see the development problems happen. Sorry, the development problem happened to the children's, and also for the adult and all, it creates a lot of psychiatric problems. Okay, when any POP is used, the first problem what it will create is, it is a endocrine disruptor. It is an endocrine disruptor. It is an endocrine disruptor. That means it will go and disrupt our hormones. So second, it will affect reproductive system. So it will create a lot of infertility issues, and especially for the newborn children and all, it will affect it. So the third one is, it affects newborn children, and it will also affect developmental problems. It will also affect developmental problems. Okay, then next very important is it affects central nervous system. Just a minute. It affects central nervous system, so that is brain, so that it can cause some psychiatric problems, mental disorders. Okay, sometimes it can also cause some problems like paralysis problem, coma, death, anything it can create. Okay, and next is it can also suppress our immune system. It can suppress immune system. It can suppress immune system so that immunity will reduce, and also it can create cancer. So here there is a lot of controversy. So not clear whether it's a carcinogen, mutagen, or teratogen, but it can create cancer. Okay, so the damage that is done by this POP, any POP, is so extensive. So that is the reason US government has identified the initial 12 POP, 12 persistent organic pollutant, and immediately they banned it. Okay, now characteristics of this POP. Let's take characteristics. Characteristics. The first one is basically it is an organic compound. It is an organic compound, but it will resist decomposition. So its bonding chain is in such a way that it will not get easily decomposed. See, initially there are 12 POP, but now we have identified 12 plus. So another 4 to 5 POP is also added. Okay, so nearing, I think we may have more than 20 POPs right now. So initially it was 12. Yes, basically it's an organic compound, but it will not get decomposed. Its bonding nature in such a way that it will not decompose easily. It will resist decomposition. The second is normally that once it is used, most of the time it may be in the pesticide or something. So once it is sprayed in the soil, normally the soil will absorb it, okay, so that it can enter into plant. At the same time, it will also evaporate. That is, it will volatilize and also move in the air form. Okay, so that's what the second point is. It is easily absorbed in the soil, easily absorbed in the soil and sediments, and also volatilize in the air. Okay, that is, it can also move in the soil phase, it can also move in the air phase. Because of that reason, it has long range transport. It has long range transport. That is, it can travel for a very long distance, especially when it enters in the gas phase. So that is what today we find this POP in Arctic and Antarctic. You see, Arctic and Antarctic, we have POP, but we have not, see, in Arctic and Antarctic, where is the source? So whatever we are using in America, India and all, it is traveling till Arctic and Antarctic. That is a problem it has got. So it will not be in one place, it will move from one place to another place. Okay, now when it enters into a plant, through that food chain, it will enter into the body, of course, to various animal organisms, including human. So in that, it can easily get dissolved in our fatty tissue, but it will not much dissolve in the water. So that is what it has low water solubility. It has low water solubility, but high lipid solubility. Lipid is fat. Okay, high lipid solubility. So it can easily dissolve in the fat. So because of this reason, what happens, you see, it is getting bioaccumulated in the fatty tissue. Okay, it bioaccumulates in fatty tissue. It bioaccumulates in fatty tissue. At the same time, will also biomagnify. It will bioaccumulate in the fatty tissue, but at the same time, it can also biomagnify. So that is a problem. It will do a very extensive damage once it enters into the system. It can be an endocrine disruptor to reproductive system, to newborn child development problems, central nervous system. So the damages are very, very extensive. That is the reason this is a very serious chemical, which the government has, many government have banned it, completely controlled it. So in order to control that, they also brought a convention for it, because it's very clear that when you use in one country, it is not going to be limited in that country. It will move from one country to another country. I'm right. It is going till Arctic and Antarctic. So that is the reason globally everyone has to control this. So for this, they created a convention which is called Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutant. Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutant. Okay. Stockholm Convention. So everyone has participated, including India has also signed and ratified this convention. This convention was brought in 2001. It came into effect in 2004. So only in 2004 it came into effect. This convention is a legal binding convention. This convention is a legal binding convention. Okay. So now anyone who participates in this convention, who has signed and ratified the convention, have to oblige to the provisions of Stockholm, articles of Stockholm Convention on POP. And now this, in this convention, the chemicals are grouped under 3 annexure. Annex A chemical, Annex B chemical, Annex C chemical. Okay, Annex A is called elimination. That means these chemicals must be completely banned in every country. This is who signed and ratified. Of course, everyone has signed and ratified. So if you take this chemical, aldrin, chlordane, delrine, eldrine, it is given in your book, did not write it. Heptachlor, hexabenzene, myrex, tosophin. So now all are used in pesticides and all. So now these chemicals and all, we need to completely eliminate. That is, we should not produce this chemical. We should not import, export, use, or use in any form or any product. Okay, that is called elimination. Completely it should be eliminated. Okay, those who signed this convention. Second is restricted use. Restricted use. So restricted use is nothing but these chemicals can be produced, but it can be used in a limited way. So under this, we have kept one chemical DDT. Because why we have kept chemical DDT is still DDT is used to control mosquito problems. That is the reason we have put under the restricted use. Annex C is called unintentional production. Unintentional production. That is, we produce this chemical, that is, these are the chemicals are produced without any intention. That is, we are producing some other chemical as a byproduct. These chemicals are coming out, like dioxin. If you even burn a plastic, dioxin will come out, furans will come out. So now we are not producing directly. So it is unintentional. That is the reason group C is called unintentional production. So initially this is the 12 pollutant. So later on they have added some more pollutant and all, endosulfan and all. Today it has been added in the annexure A. Okay. That is how Annex A, Annex B, and Annex C. Okay. Now let's see the issue of endosulfan. Okay, endosulfan in India. So when you take this endosulfan is an insecticide. It is an insecticide used in the agriculture. India is one of the largest. Of course, India is the largest producer of this endosulfan. We are the largest consumer, and also we are exporting to many countries. Of course, the endosulfan, very long back, all the major rich countries and all have banned it. Okay, now in Kasaragod, this is an incident taken from Kasaragod village, Kasaragod district, in a particular village of Kerala. What happened, you see, many years back, some around 12 years back, from the Kasaragod district, from a particular village, they came to know that the newborn children and all as born with this, developmental problems. And also in the adult, they came to know that many has psychiatric problems, central nervous system is getting affected. Okay, fertility issues and all is happening, immune problems and all happening. So now, immediately what happened, you see, one premier organization in India, NIOH, it is called National Institute of Occupational Health. So some of the NIOH scientists, experts, researchers, they went to the Kasaragod village, that Kasaragod district, to the particular village, and they took the blood sample. In the blood sample, they saw that the endosulfan level was very high. So based on that, the NIOH reported that endosulfan is a reason for all these things. Then immediately what happened, you see, a lot of activists, newspaper and all, it went up to BBC channel. So newspaper, it came into, channels and all, activism and all came. So immediately there was a demand to ban this endosulfan. That time, Kerala government and all, Karnataka government immediately stopped this endosulfan. They immediately banned this endosulfan for a temporary period. By the time it went to the court also. So Supreme Court and all said that, okay, temporarily, okay, unless otherwise you get a complete information, temporarily let us ban it. Okay, that is what it's happened. That is one side. But in the other side, and another researcher from the NIOH, I think some vice president or president of NIOH, came with another report that stating that endosulfan is not a carcinogen. Endosulfan is not a carcinogen, mutagen, teratogen. Okay, and he came out and said that, okay, probably endosulfan, what is found in the blood of the farmers, is only a residue. He said that endosulfan is not a reason for this effect. That is what another scientist from NIOH came out. So two controversial reports came from a single institute, single topmost institute. By the time what happened, you see, Stockholm Convention came. So everyone went, our minister, environment minister, agriculture minister and all went to the Stockholm Convention. In the first day of the Stockholm Convention, immediately the endosulfan issue was taken. Okay, US government has taken, because that news has went up to BBC and everywhere. So immediately US government, UK and all said that India must ban, because India is the only producer of this endosulfan. And India is a major exporter, major user, major exporter. So that the US, the rich countries, US, UK, France and all, they said that immediately India must ban the endosulfan. That is what they said. But surprisingly, our minister said that we will not ban endosulfan, because there is no clear proof that, okay, this entire effect is only because of endosulfan. It's not very clear. Okay, and also they said that if endosulfan is used in a particular proportion, this effect may not come. Probably the village they would have used in an excess level. So that is what something went on. But at the same time, the minister said that if we ban endosulfan, then our agriculture crop may become a failure, because insect will increase. It will become a failure because we don't have any alternate for endosulfan. So that's the reason our food security will get affected. Okay, that is what they said. But anyway, some of the activists and all, they say that this endosulfan activists and all, they say that, so this endosulfan is produced by two big corporate in India, some Hindustan, Excel Corp and Coromandel, some companies. So in order to save that company, in order to protect that company only, the Indian government is not banning this endosulfan. But anyway, a lot of debate went on in the Stockholm Convention. Rich countries were very strong that the India must ban this endosulfan, because if you use here, it will travel. I don't know, it is a long range transport. So it may go to, up to Arctic it will go. So that's the reason they don't want to take a risk. They want. So a lot of things went on, but finally all the countries decided that we need to put endosulfan in Annexure A. But India will be given some 10 years time. So 10 years time remission period will be given. Within that, India has to go for some other alternate and has to completely ban this endosulfan. So now the minister came back to India. So after attending this convention, by the time Supreme Court also said that you must ban this endosulfan. So since we don't have any other option, the government actually officially 2017, it is a endosulfan is a complete ban. So actually endosulfan should not be in circulation. It should not be sold. It's a complete ban in 2017. So we do not know what is the reality. So 2017, there is a complete ban of endosulfan. So that is what the story of endosulfan came. So endosulfan is banned. Okay, that is one. The second is there is also another issue with PCB, polychlorinated biphenyl. PCB, polychlorinated biphenyl. See this PCB. So if you're electrical electronic engineering, definitely you should know PCB. Basically, it is used in transformers and capacitors. And also it is used in the heat transfer fluids. It is also used in the heat transfer fluids. The reason is it resists extreme temperature and pressure. It resists extreme temperature and pressure. It resists extreme temperature and pressure. That is the reason. Actually, 50% of whatever we produce right now, it is in the environment. 50% of the production almost in the environment. In fact, in 1977 itself, most of the rich countries have banned it, this PCB. But more than 50% still is in the environment, and now it is affecting the aquatic ecosystem, aquatic organism. Okay. Now coming to the India, I think some 2016 or 17 only, India issued a certification, notification. That is the Minister of Environment said that PCB should be completely banned. Banned means hereafter no import or export of PCB should happen. Total ban will be 2025. 2025 complete ban. What is the 2025 complete ban is? That is when you come 2025, that time no PCB related product should be there, because in 2016 or 17 they said that ban, that is year after no import export of PCB. But already we have transformers and capacitors and all, so which has a PCB. So that and all we need to replace before 2025. That is what complete ban. See, whatever PCB we have produced, 50% of the PCB right now it is in the environment. That is what most of the rich countries says, and it is mostly affecting the aquatic organism. Okay, so in India, so it is related to India, PCB should be completely banned. All the PCB related product has to be replaced with some other products by 2025. Okay, that is what. Yes, PCB is also in the Stockholm Convention. No, it's a 12 pollutant. Okay, that is about the Stockholm Convention, persistent organic pollutants. Then we have another two more convention. The next convention is Basel Convention on control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal. Basel Convention on Control of Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal. Basel Convention on Control of Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal. Okay. See, this convention is for hazardous waste. It's a common hazardous waste for everything. So within hazardous waste, specific hazardous waste like POP and all, it will get controlled under the Stockholm Convention. Stockholm Convention completely has banned that hazardous waste. But apart from that, hazardous waste, we have industrial chemicals and all. So lead, acid, there are more than 1,000 chemicals we have. Okay, we cannot get into each and every hazardous waste. So now, all the hazardous waste, how it is being managed. If you see, so most of the time, the hazardous waste, if you have oil, probably, industrial oil, everything, it all comes under the hazardous waste, industrial paint, oil, everything. So wherever it is possible, the countries will try to recycle it, reuse it. Suppose if they cannot recycle, reuse it, they may go for incineration. If it is not if it cannot be incinerated, they may go for a landfill. Now, from 1900 onwards, from the Industrial Revolution onwards, what this rich country were doing is, any hazardous waste that comes in their country, they will put it in the ship and finally push it to the developing country, especially the least developed country, African country. And now, African country, they will collect the ship. The small amount will be paid by the rich country. They will dismantle it and dispose it in their own land. So all the waste is being pushed to the, African countries and also the poor country, that is LDC country, least developed countries. This is what happening for a long period of time. So in order to stop this, some of the African countries, some of the educated African countries came out and started a movement. It is called Not in My Backyard. It's a very famous quote in environment. It's a very famous quote in environment. Okay, so all the chemical waste, everything, what they will do is they will dump it in the least developed countries, poor countries, island countries and all. So they started a slogan called Not in My Backyard. Don't put your waste in my backyard. You process it and you dispose it. Because the rich country like US and all, because of their superpower, they threaten and they dispose it. So they started a movement, and then the United Nations also took that issue and they created a convention, which is called Basel Convention on Control of Transboundary Movement. That is what, movement from one country to another country. So here, the objective of this entire Basel Convention is, the main objective is to prevent the, hazardous waste movement moved from developed to least developed countries. So the main objective is, so there are two objectives. Of course, three objectives. The first objective is they want to prevent the hazardous waste movement from the developed to, from the rich country to poor country. So hereafter, the rich country, you have to dispose your waste by yourself. Do not push to developing country or any poor country. That is one. The second is also assist the LDC, okay, to reduce and dispose hazardous waste in safe manner. So here, the least developed countries also create their own hazardous waste. Am I right? So now we need to assist them how to handle it and how to dispose this hazardous waste. Okay, that is the second objective. Assist the least developed country to reduce and dispose the hazardous waste in a safe manner. The second thing, third one, that is what, the transboundary, so movement. So they will act like a regulatory system. This Basel Convention will act like a regulatory system for transboundary movement. That is, any hazardous waste transboundary movement, they will act like a regulatory system. Without the knowledge, it cannot be moved. Okay, that is what Basel Convention. So here radioactive waste is not covered. So please keep in mind, radioactive waste is not covered under this. Okay. So that is, we have signed and ratified this Basel Convention. Then only what we have done is we have made our law. So because those who signs this Basel Convention, mandatorily they need to create a law. Of course, already we have a law that is called Hazardous Waste Management Handling Rules, 1989. So after signing this Basel Convention, we changed the law into Hazardous Waste Management Handling and Transboundary Movement Rules, 2016. Because since we signed this, ratified this Basel Convention, so now hereafter we oblige to the Basel Convention provisions for the hazardous waste management. Okay. This is another convention. So we also have one more convention for hazardous waste, that is called Rotterdam Convention. Rotterdam Convention. See, this is for some serious chemicals and pesticides. So this is for only for certain serious chemicals and pesticides. So within hazardous waste, there are some serious chemicals, serious pesticides are there. So of course, Rotterdam Convention takes care mostly in the international trade. That is, if the serious chemicals, pesticides, if move from one country to another country, okay, any list of chemical that falls under the Rotterdam Convention, then you need to follow the procedure of Rotterdam Convention. Basically, Rotterdam Convention is a legal binding. It's a legal binding convention. It's a legal binding convention. Okay, so now under the Rotterdam Convention, they have Annexure 1, Annexure 2, Annexure 3 chemicals and all. So under this, there is an annexure called Annex 3 chemicals. These are very, very serious chemical. Very, very serious chemical. Suppose if any international trade, is happening in this chemical, according to Rotterdam Convention, they have to follow a PIC procedure. They have to follow a PIC procedure. So PIC stands for prior informed consent. PIC stands for prior informed consent. Prior informed consent. Prior informed consent. Okay, what is it as? Suppose, let me say country A, country B. Suppose country A is going to export a particular chemical, an X chemical, which is Annex 3 chemical. So now they have to follow the prior informed consent procedure. What the procedure is very simple. The country A, first they have to send a document called PAC document. They have to send a document called PAC document. So in the PAC document, there will be a complete information on this chemical. So what is that chemical, how the chemical will be used, what is the risk of the chemical, everything will be given. So now the B country first receives the document, has to see the document. If they are okay with that chemical, then they have to inform the Rotterdam office. Then they have to inform the Rotterdam office. That is, they have to send the PSC document to the Rotterdam office. Rotterdam office will also see the PSC document, and then they will give a clearance. Then only the export and import of that particular chemical can happen between two countries. This is what we call prior informed consent. That is, we are informing prior and getting the consent, and then only we are importing or exporting that chemical. That is called PSC procedure. Okay. Similar, almost it's similar to advanced inform agreement of LMO, Cartagena protocol. Same process only. Okay, so that is about the hazardous waste. So that's all about the solid waste. So we have rules. You can have a look before your exam. You can have a look at the rules, because it's not possible to read all the rules and all. So whatever possible you can see. So most of the time rules and all, if it is anything, if it is the current affair only, they will ask. Otherwise, they will not go to the previous rules, and generally such type of question they never ask. Okay. So that's about the solid waste. So now we have to go to the next topic. So we have two topics left out. The one is the EIA. The second is the climate change. So with that, it will be over. So probably today and tomorrow we will complete it. So tomorrow we have two sessions. So tomorrow, if needed, we may have to stretch. So tomorrow 2 to 7:30, probably 8 o'clock or something, they would have told you. So it depends on that. We have to complete it. Today and tomorrow, we have to complete it. That's all. Complete the EA and climate change. Climate change, that also includes ozone depletion. Okay. So now we will get into the next topic. We will see the introduction of EAA. EAA stands for Environment Impact Assessment. EA stands for Environment Impact Assessment. So it's very simple. It's an environment impact assessment. We are going to see the impact. We are going to assess the impact on the environment. For what? The projects. So any development project hereafter, if it comes to India, we need to assess the project. We need to see how well the project is going to impact the environment. And then we will decide whether we should allow the project or not. If the impact is severe, definitely for the environment, then we should not allow the project. If the impact is very less, moderate, or something sustainable, we should allow. That is what ultimately we see, that whether the project is sustainable or not. Okay. Now this EIA comes under EPA Act. So it is mandatory. So you need to conduct a EIA mandatory under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. Under the EPA Act of 1986, we have a EIA notification. So the notification, so it was brought in 1994. Later on, they did a lot of modifications and all. So the notification tells, okay, how to conduct a EIA, how the approval. So ultimately, you need to get an enviro clearance. So how the approval has to happen. So everything will be told in this EIA. Okay, when you take EIA, so for what projects? Broadly, EIA has to be conducted for 6 categories of project. So EIA is conducted for 6 categories of project, which is completely under the scope of Ministry of Environment, this entire EIA. So what are the 6 categories of project? Industries, mining, thermal power plant, industries, mining, thermal power plant, River Valley project, infrastructure and coastal regulation zone. infrastructure and coastal regulation zone, then nuclear power project. Nuclear power project. This is the 6 categories of project. Okay, so now it will be further divided into some 30 plus categories, because industry, within that we have chemical industry, we have paper industry, we have textile industry. Am I right? So again, mining, we have different types of mining. So within thermal power project, we have 50 megawatt thermal power project, 100 megawatt thermal power project. Okay, so even we have 2000 megawatt of thermal power project. All right, so it will be further divided. So it will have, it will run into 30 to 40 categories. Okay, now all these categories of project will fall under 2 category. All this will fall under 2 category. Basically, it will fall under 2 category. What is the 2 category is? The one is category A project, category B project. Category A project, category B project. Okay, so category A project, all the big projects and all. See, within industry, big mining, big thermal power plant, all will come under the category A project. That is, here the impact assessment will be conducted by the central government. That is, enviro clearance will be given by the central government. Okay, so most of the big projects, big industries, big mining plant, big thermal power plant, if any thermal power plant crosses more than 500 megawatts and all, will come under the category A project. So within category, we have B1, B2. B1, B2. So B1, of course, small projects. See, within thermal power plant, we may have a 100 megawatts project. So 200 megawatt project. That and all will come under B1. Small industry, small mining and all. That and all will be given by, approval will be given by, that is, assessment will be conducted by state government. Approval will be given by the state government. Okay, approval will be given by the state government. B2 means, of course, no EAA. There is no need for any EAA at all. Very small projects, small industries and all, there's no use of conducting EAA. So we will not conduct EAA at all. Okay, so it's very clear. So broadly, EA notification says that 6 categories of project. The 6 category is further divided into more than 39 different types of companies. So in that, all the big industries and all will fall under the central government category A project, where the impact assessment will be done by the central government, where clearance will be given by the central government. Enviro clearance will be given by the central government. All the small projects and all will come under the B1 category. That is nothing but the state government will give the clearance, will conduct the EAA and give the clearance. Very, very small projects and all, there's no need for EA at all. That is B2 project. Okay, that is B2 project. So now, if any development project comes, what is the impact on the environment? Let me say very simple. So let me say a Vedanta mining. A Vedanta, you need not write it, just you can listen. A Vedanta mining is going to, is going to have almost 10 years back, it came for a bauxite mining in Odisha. So they want to acquire hectares and hectares of forest land with a lot of mountain. So now, first activity, what they will do is, so they will first cut all the trees. Am I right? Deforestation. When you do deforestation, what are the losses? Of course, oxygen will come down. Am I right? Carbon dioxide will increase. Soil and all will be lost. Soil erosion will be more. Am I right? Then a lot of birds and insects and all will be lost. Flora and fauna will be lost. Am I right? Now, when you cut, probably, all air pollution, noise pollution will come. Dust pollution will come. So definitely you need to use a lot of, genset generators and all. Definitely air pollution will come. Okay, when you dig everything. Okay, suppose if a flood happens, suppose I think that when a heavy rainfall. So if you have a trees, normally tree will prevent your rain. Am I right? Flowing water. So now again, it may, suppose if you don't have a tree, more flood will happen. The land will become desertified. So you cut the mountain and all, land destabilization will happen, earthquake will happen. Now you dig a hole, take the resources. So in order to take the resources, they will use sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid or cyanide. Once upon a time, they use cyanide. Now sulfuric acid they are using. So it will leach into the ground well. So groundwater pollution will happen. Okay, river water pollution will happen. Lake pollution will happen. All right. So if you see the damages, there will be extensive damage. Am I right? There will be extensive damage. So a lot of ecosystem services will be lost. For example, you take when the trees are cut, insects are lost. When the insects are lost, pollination is lost. Agriculture is lost. Now you need to calculate the damages. So you need to say, because of this project, what is the damage is going to happen to my air? What is the damage it is going to happen to water? What is the damage it is going to happen to soil and land? Okay, what is the damage it is going to happen to flora, fauna? Okay, what is that damage? Of course, you may have a historical monument and all. What is the damage it is going to happen to historical monument? And also probably people will be staying there. You need to rehabilitate the people. And also what is the damage is going to happen to the people? Now you need to calculate technically, scientifically, those damages. Okay, that is one side. The second side is, who does this? It is only the Vedanta company. It's only the private corporate man do all these damages. And they take the resources. They exploit the resources. Of course, the resources also exploited. I'm right. Now they are the one who takes the resources. They are damaging this air, water, soil, and all. Now they have to come out with a solution. The private man should come out with a solution how he is going to reduce these damages. Okay, that is something called mitigation plan. That is something called mitigation plan. So here we call it as environment management plan. Now the company, so if you take Vedanta company, the Vedanta company, so because of their activity, first side, you need to see what are the damages they do to air, water, all those things. Second, the Vedanta company itself has to propose how he is going to mitigate it, how he is going to lessen it. For example, he's cutting 1,000 trees. Now Vedanta company will say that, okay, I will fund 10 crores for afforestation program. Okay, now some plants are damaged. Okay, I'm going to do some replacement. So animals, so I will catch that animal. Okay, I will give money to the forest department, will catch the animal and to some other forest region. So like that, the company has to come out with a environment management plan. That is nothing but mitigation plan. Now we will take damages. We will also consider this mitigation plan. And then we will see whether this damages can be managed by this mitigation plan. Okay, whether the damages and the mitigation plan can be balanced. When the damages and mitigation plans are balanced, then I will say that the project is a sustainable project. Am I right? Suppose the damages are more, mitigation plan is very less, then it is unsustainable. Then damages, definitely the environment is going to get damaged. So now the damages and mitigation plan should be in such a way that it should strike a balance. Then I will say that this entire project is well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Carrying capacity. Because air, water, yes, you can pollute air, you can pollute water, but you can pollute air, you can pollute water only within its carrying capacity, not beyond the carrying capacity. So if the damages, whatever you are going to do, the mitigation plan, whatever you are going to come, if both are balanced, then I will say that the project is a sustainable project. Of course, the environment is not getting affected. Then the project is well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Okay, so that is what we say. So just make note, EIA. So definition of EIA. EIA is a decision-making tool. Is a decision-making tool. EIA is a decision-making tool that evaluates the environment impact of proposed development project after mitigation strategies are are included in the plan. Or included. That is what we see. What is the impact? That is damages. We take the mitigation plan. Okay. Proposed project after mitigation strategies are included in the plan. Full stop. EIA ensures the project is well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. EIA ensures the project is well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So that is what, there are three aspects of EIA. The one is we calculate the damages that is going to happen because of the project. See, EIA is a decision-making tool that evaluates the environment impact of proposed development project after mitigation strategies are included in the plan. Full stop. EIA ensures the project is well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Carrying capacity of the ecosystem. Okay, so that means there are three aspects of EIA. There are three important parts in EIA. The one is you need to calculate the damage. Because of the project, what is the damage is going to happen to the abiotic and biotic factor. That is what risk assessment. What is the risk associated with that project? The second is you bring a mitigation plan. In order to tackle this risk only, you are bringing an environment management plan. So that is what mitigation plan. It is called develop an environment management plan. That is nothing but mitigation plan. Then the third is you have to implement the mitigation plan. That is very important. Then only the damages is countered. So implement the mitigation plan. The company will implement the mitigation plan. But the thing is, for the job of the government is to go and monitor whether they are doing as per the EIA and EMP. So this we call it as post-product monitoring. Post-product monitoring. Okay, so the one is risk assessment. You need to calculate the damage. The second is you need to prepare a mitigation plan. So how you are going to counter the damage. The third is you are going to prepare a post, that is you need to monitor whether really the company is doing as per the mitigation plan. That is called post-product monitoring. So I will tell you who will do it. So this is the three aspects of EIA. Okay. So now risk assessment has to be done. Environment management plan has to be created. Post-product monitoring has to be done. So here, of course, the private man himself will do the risk assessment. The private man himself will prepare the mitigation plan. It is the government will, do the post-product monitoring. But the government will oversee this. Because government cannot do this. Because if the government wants to do for risk assessment for every project, then government has to do only that activity. So it is not possible. See, hundreds of projects can come. So whether government can do EAA for everyone? No. So government can go, is it possible for the CPCB go and measure these, what is the air quality, water quality and all? No, it's not possible. So we will ask the private man himself to conduct the risk assessment, he himself to bring the mitigation plan, but we will cross check it. The government will appoint expert committee and they will cross check this, whether he's telling the truth or not. And then post product monitoring, the government will monitor. Okay. So now the time is 4:35. So we'll take a 30 minutes break. So we will come back by 5:05, exactly sharp at 5:05. We will start.